Welcome to the Daily Message. I'm Dane Spotts. There is an unseen world that very few know about that reveals something important about life on Earth and perhaps life elsewhere in the universe. Deep beneath the surface of our blue planet lies a realm that remains largely unexplored. It's alien in nature and is home to a pantheon of creatures that could easily inspire tales of extraterrestrial beings. This is the world of deep-sea vents. Miles down in the ocean, hydrothermal vents, which are fissures on the ocean floor, have geothermally heated water gushing out of them at temperatures up to 750 degrees Fahrenheit. Surrounding these vents are massive chimney-like structures formed by the minerals precipitated from the hot fluids, creating a stage for one of the most extraordinary ecosystems on our planet. As we journey into this deep, abysmal realm, you'll be astounded by the life forms that thrive in complete and total darkness, at pressures that would crush a submarine and in waters teeming with toxic chemicals. Why should you care? How does knowing this pay your bills or offer you anything other than it's just a cool idea to know about? Let me explain. First, there's a showcase of bizarre creatures not found anywhere else. Life forms we never knew existed. Here are just a few. Tube worms, up to 8 feet long. These worms have no mouth, stomach, or gut. Instead, they rely on a colony of symbiotic bacteria that lives inside of them to convert the toxic chemicals from the vents into organic molecules that provide nourishment. Yeti crabs. With hairy pincers, they appear as though they're wearing little furry mittens. Yeti crabs farm bacteria on their claws by waving them around in the nutrient-rich water and then eating these bacteria. Blind shrimp that partner with bacteria that live on their bodies, feeding on the toxic compounds in the water. These shrimps graze on their own bacterial colonies, living in total darkness. And vampire squids that feed on decomposing plants, animals, and other organic matter. Eyes adapted to the total dark, they're able to detect the faintest glimmer of bioluminescent prey. So, what's the secret to the survival of these creatures? They evolved not only to withstand the extreme pressures, the cold, and the darkness, but they're able to capitalize on this very toxic environment. There's no photosynthesis because there's no light. For most of the history of science, up until just a few years ago, it was believed that life could only be sustained through a food chain that begins with photosynthesis. But yet here in the deep sea, in total darkness, we find life thriving without sunlight. How is this possible? A new thing, a new way of looking at life even. Chemosynthesis, a process that doesn't need light. Microbes produce food by using the energy stored in toxic chemicals of sulfur, methane, and other compounds. These microbes then form the base of a food chain that sustains a diversity of completely new and bizarre species in the deep sea. Okay, that's interesting, but again, what's the point of all this, and what does this have to do with personal development? Because what this means for life on Earth and possibly elsewhere is this, and this is the takeaway. Everywhere that life can possibly exist, it does. We think through our science and our own direct knowledge is the totality of what exists in the universe. In anything outside of that knowledge base, it's just not possible. In the extremes of our world, however, life showcases its tenacity in breathtaking ways. Consider one of the harshest places on Earth, the dry valleys of Antarctica, a place so devoid of moisture that it hasn't witnessed rainfall for over 1,000 years. Imagine that for a moment, standing in this barren expanse where the very concept of life is like a distant dream. Yet even here, in the seemingly lifeless desolation, a miracle persists. Shielded beneath the surface of an unassuming rock, a lichen thrives. Against all odds, this remarkable organism has mastered an almost impossible art. Instead of relying on non-existent rain, it extracts the moisture directly from the thin air and draws its life from an environment that offers next to nothing. The very existence of this lichen in Antarctica's parched landscape serves as another reminder that even in the bleakest of circumstances where existence seems impossible, life seems to find a way. I don't know about you, but for me, just knowing about this and thinking about it when I see all the folly of mankind going on around me every day, it gives me a certain comfort, in a few ways actually. One is just knowing that the matrix of life will survive, no matter what stupid humans do to the planet and themselves. And two, that the very nature of God and the universe, at its core, is about creation in all its forms. And that the purpose behind it, which is greater than we can possibly comprehend, is to add to the diversity of life and the consciousness that results from it, all over, everywhere. Everywhere on planet Earth that life can exist, it does, even in places we would think it's not possible. This means that must be true elsewhere, throughout other solar systems, and the billions and billions of solar systems in other galaxies, beyond what we can even comprehend. Knowing all of this reveals something that I think is significant. So think about all this in another way. If life is as amazing as we know it is, once we become awakened to it all, and what it really means for us as individual members of this cacophony of life, what does this say about our own existence? For me, it says how insignificant we are in the scheme of things, but also how big and how precious and endearing it all is, and that we get to be a part of this evolving matrix of life, and in the end, having lived, add our consciousness stuff to it all.